Hello, and welcome back to The Gray Matter, where we talk about life, love, and everything in between. Since life happens and I am not good about keeping my own schedules, it's been a week since I've made my last video. 8 days, I think, actually. And I feel bad about that because I like making videos. It's one of the things I enjoy doing here. And so we're going to do one today, and we're going to be talking about poetry. Now, don't hit the button quite yet. You're going to like this. I've got a good definition of poetry, but I have to read it to you. Poetry is a type of literature or artistic writing that attempts to stir a reader's imaginations or emotions. The poet does this by carefully choosing and arranging language for its meaning, sound, and rhythm. It doesn't say rhyming poetry. I've written some rhyming poetry and I kind of like it. But I've written some non-rhyming poetry too, and I'm going to read one in this video. But it doesn't matter if you're a lifelong reader or you haven't read a book or written a poem since you got out of high school. There's going to be something in for this for you, and this, I hope to influence you to write a poem. In fact, I'm going to invite you to write a poem and submit them to me, and put them in comments, and I'll read them on the next video that I do. I like poetry, and I think I'll like yours too. The difference today between poetry and prose has been so blurred that the only real difference, noticeable difference, is line breaks. So poems have line breaks. Usually divide the poem into stanzas or smaller bits that are easier to digest. But they don't even need that. I have a good friend who writes a lot of poetry well, and his poems don't have line breaks. So a poem is whatever you want it to be, as long as it meets that definition, attempts to stir a reader's imagination or emotions by carefully choosing and arranging language for its meaning, sound, and rhythm. You can do that. You can do that. You're a poet. You may not have been writing poetry. You may have never written a poem, but you're a poet. I promise you, it's in you. Our senior years are a very good time to write poetry. We have time to reflect, time to think about what we did right, what we did wrong, what we wish we hadn't done, what we wish we could live again. But none of that can happen. We just have to think about it and write about it. Poetry can help with grief. You can write about a lost one. You can write about a lost love or opportunity. You can express your joy about something, about your life well lived, about the birth of a grandson, about you choose. Write about it. Write a poem about it. I'm going to share a poem now that I wrote. It's called Those Days. In those days, there were watermelon stands along dusty country roads in the deep South. No such thing exists today. Watermelons didn't stop growing. Small farms did. Huge rattlesnake watermelons, too big for checkout stands. You have to grow your own that size today. You drive down a dirt road to the stand, exchange pleasantries with the owner. Damn hot day. Yes, it is. Plug you a good one, sir? You want to pick one out? How about that one? Oh, I can see you're a man of good taste. Not too big, but a nice color and a fine hollow thump. There was a watermelon corer. He would plunge it into the side and show it to us. She's a beauty, Let the boy eat the core. No one else here yet. You can have that table. I'll wipe the benches and spread some newspapers. Let me get you some salt. That'll be 25 cents, sir, in those days. So that's my poem, In Those Days. I hope it stirs you to remember something. Maybe you didn't have watermelon stands. If you lived in North Central California, you might have had a almond stand, a nut stand. They were common. It's the only place I could find almond butter for a long time. I like almond butter. That poem, Those Days, reminds me of my grandparents. I drove with them during the summer when I was a little boy. And one thing we do in the hot summer days is stop in watermelon stands. Oh, they were so good. And we would socialize. I would talk to my grandparents. I wish I'd learned more from them because I was little and I didn't know what I was doing. But they would tell me about their lives. They had very interesting lives. I wish I'd paid more attention. But my poetry, that poem, makes me think of them. And I like thinking of them. And I'll probably write another poem or two about them. They're in my book, of course. It's over there. There. And they treated me well. In the absence of a derelict mother, they were surrogate parents for years. And I grew up knowing them as Grandpapa and Grandmama. That's what we called them down in the South back in those days. Does my poem bring up any memories for you? You may not remember a watermelon stand, but you remember your grandparents. You remember what they meant to you. And I hope this tells you something about what they meant to me. I'd like it if you wrote some poetry. Please do. Submit it in comments down below, and like I said, I'll be happy to read it, and I'll read any notes that you want to include with your poems. How do you start a poem? Well, I don't know. You just think. There are places, websites actually, where you can subscribe to poetry prompts, and you get a prompt every day or two, and you write a poem about that prompt. It's just to exercise your poetry muscles. But you don't need that. You can start with, I remember a watermelon stand. I remember the smell of Grandpa's garage. I do remember that too. Simple things, and tell us about them. Tell us about them in a poem. I've spent enough time this video on poetry, but we're going to come back to it again more than once, because I want to read your poems, and I want you to read mine, to hear mine, and I want you to know that being a senior doesn't mean you being lonely. It doesn't mean having no one to talk to. You can share your thoughts, your dreams, your plans, your adventures before and planned. You can do so much. And you can write poems about what you did, what you want to do, and where you've been. I look forward to them. They're going to be great. And you'll be getting more of mine. And I think that's just about it for this episode 8 of Gray Matter. Poetry. Thanks for tuning in.